Virginia Woolf, born Adeline Virginia Stephen on January 25, 1882, in London, became one of the most influential writers of the 20th century. Known for her revolutionary narrative style and exploration of mental illness, feminism, and identity, her works still resonate today. Her father, Sir Leslie Stephen, was a distinguished historian, biographer, mountaineer, and the first editor of the Dictionary of National Biography. He was surrounded by an influential circle of intellectual friends, including poet Thomas Hardy and author Henry James. Her mother, Julia Jackson, was a model for the pre-Raphaelite painters, a nurse who authored a book on the profession, and a noted philanthropist. Virginia's family also included the celebrated photographer Julia Margaret Cameron and Lady Henry Somerset, a prominent women's rights campaigner. Both of her parents had been married and widowed before marrying each other. Virginia had 3 full siblings, Thoby, Vanessa, and Adrian, and 4 half-siblings, Laura, Makepeace, Stephen, and George, Gerald, and Stella Duckworth. The 8 children lived together at 22 Hyde Park Gate, Kensington. Virginia Woolf was a curious and playful child with an early passion for writing, starting with letters at age 5. At 10, she created Hyde Park Gate News, a family newspaper co-authored with her sister Vanessa, humorously capturing their family life until 1895, shortly before her mother's death. By 1897, she began her first diary, marking the start of her lifelong dedication to writing. In 1882, the family began spending summers at Talland House in St. Ives, Cornwall, a place that deeply influenced Virginia's later works, including Jacob's Room, The Waves, and To the Lighthouse, inspired by views of Porthminster Bay and Godrevy Lighthouse. They stopped visiting in 1894 when a hotel blocked their sea view, and Woolf's mother passed away the following year. Both at Hyde Park Gate and Talland House, the family socialized with much of the country's literary and artistic circles. Virginia's brothers attended Cambridge, but she and her sisters were educated at home. Her mother taught her Latin, French, and history, while her father covered mathematics. Woolf also took piano lessons and had unrestricted access to her father's vast library, which inspired her literary interests. Later, she pursued formal studies in German, Greek, and Latin at the Ladies' Department of King's College London, where she was introduced to radical feminists leading educational reforms. Virginia Woolf's childhood and early adult years were marred by significant traumas that shaped her mental health and literary perspective. She endured significant personal trauma, including sexual abuse by her half-brothers, George and Gerald Duckworth, which deeply affected her mental health. At the age of 13, the death of her mother, followed shortly by the death of her half-sister Stella, triggered her first mental breakdown. This grief was compounded by the death of her father in 1904 from stomach cancer, which led to another emotional collapse and brief institutionalization. Tragedy struck again when her brother Thoby died at 26 from typhoid fever following a family trip to Greece, further deepening her emotional struggles. These early losses and traumas significantly influenced her life and her writings. After their father's death, Virginia's sister Vanessa and brother Adrian sold the family home in Hyde Park Gate and relocated to a house in London's Bloomsbury area. This move marked a significant change in Virginia's life, as she began associating with a group of intellectuals and artists who would later be known as the Bloomsbury Group. This influential circle, which included writers, philosophers, and painters, became a formative part of Woolf's personal and professional life, nurturing her literary ambitions and fostering groundbreaking ideas in art and culture. The Bloomsbury Group became infamous in 1910 for the Dreadnought hoax, where members, including Virginia Woolf disguised as Prince Mendax, posed as Ethiopian royals and tricked the Royal Navy into giving them a tour of the HMS Dreadnought. Orchestrated by Horace de Vere Cole and Adrian Stephen, the prank sparked public outrage after being leaked to the press. Amid these social and intellectual circles, Virginia grew closer to Leonard Woolf. They first met through her brother Thoby, a close friend of Leonard's at Trinity College, Cambridge. Leonard soon became captivated by Virginia's beauty and intellect, and they married on August 10, 1912. Their marriage, though unconventional, was profoundly supportive. Leonard provided unwavering emotional support, helping Virginia manage her mental health struggles and contributing significantly to her literary accomplishments. In 1905, Virginia Woolf began writing professionally for the Times Literary Supplement. A year later, she began work on her first novel, originally titled Melambrosia. After several years of revisions, it was published in 1915 as The Voyage Out by her half-brother Gerald Duckworth's publishing house. Though it marked the start of her literary career, the process was emotionally taxing for her. In 1917, Virginia and Leonard Woolf founded Hogarth Press, a publishing house that became central to their literary endeavors. It was here that all of Virginia's works were published. In 1919, Virginia released Night and Day, a traditional novel set in Edwardian England. This was followed by Jacob's Room, 1922, which marked a shift toward modernist writing. In 1925, Mrs. Dalloway was published, exploring themes of mental illness, feminism, and the aftermath of World War I. This was followed by To the Lighthouse, 1927, a modernist classic known for its stream of consciousness technique. Her groundbreaking work, Orlando, a biography, 1928. Inspired by her romantic affair with writer Vita Sackville-West, explores themes of gender and identity through the centuries. In A Room of One's Own, 1929, Woolf examined women's roles in literature and famously wrote, "A woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction." Woolf's The Waves, 1931, presented a unique narrative structure, with the voices of 6 characters blending in a poetic, dreamlike sequence. Her final novel, The Years, 1937, explored a family's history across generations. Virginia Woolf's last manuscript, Between the Acts, published posthumously in 1941, reflects her ongoing exploration of human relationships and the passage of time, written during her struggle with mental illness. Throughout her career, Woolf also delivered lectures, wrote essays, and taught classes at Morley College, influencing future generations of writers and thinkers. Despite her literary success, Virginia Woolf struggled with mental illness throughout her life. These emotional and psychological battles became increasingly difficult to manage. Unable to cope with her despair, Woolf filled her overcoat pockets with stones and walked into the River Ouse on March 28, 1941. The stream took her with it as she waded into the water, and her body was found 3 weeks later. Leonard Woolf had her cremated, and her remains were scattered at their home in Monk's House. Her death marked the tragic end of a brilliant life, but her works continue to inspire and shape literature today. Woolf's ability to capture the complexities of human experience and her commitment to breaking narrative conventions solidify her as one of the most important writers of the 20th century. Although her popularity decreased after World War II, Woolf's work resonated again with a new generation of readers during the feminist movement of the 1970s. Today, she remains one of the most influential authors of the 21st century. If you enjoyed learning about Virginia Woolf and her profound impact on literature, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more in-depth explorations of history's most iconic figures.